Ladies and gentlemen, if you would kindly start taking your seats. Скъпи приятели.
Dear friends,
delegations from Kosovo and Sweden would take their seats. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Vanya Monowa Choir.
Ona mi odade, ona oči i oču, majke voljne mi odade. Dreme mi se lega, mi se sami ne dojodi. Imamo mamu selo, do pri nju bi si legnal. Ona oči i ja hoću, baš ta voj ne dava. Kupi baš ta morav kožu, fion mi odade. Ona oči i ja hoću, baš ta voj ne dava. Kupi baš ta morav kožu, fion mi odade. Dan 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 dan. Vreme mi se lega, mi se vreme mi se lega, mi se sami ne dojodi. Imamo malo selo, do pri njoj bi si legnal. Ona oči i ja hoću, baš ta voj ne dava. Kupi baš ta morav kožu, fion mi odade. Ona oči i ja hoću, baš ta voj ne dava. Kupi baš ta morav kožu, fion mi odade. Ja na Boga u selo, to što će da mu dadem. Će mi zakaza venčilo, stoji 20 groša. To na popa mu je lesno, popadija ima. Čemu greje, čemu greje, presela ta zima. To na popa mu je lesno, popadija ima. Čemu peje, čemu greje, presela ta zima. Dreme mi se sami ne dojodi. Imamo malu selo, do pri njoj bi si legnal.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Vanya Moneva Choir. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, dear fellow liberals, let me welcome you here at the 75th Anniversary Congress of Liberal International. My name is Daniel Kadek. I'm the Executive Director of the European Liberal Forum, the foundation and think tank of the European Liberals, the ALDE Party. I have been given this tremendous pleasure and opportunity of being your master of ceremony today. And it's indeed a great pleasure seeing so many old friends here in the room. And before we start with the program proper, all of you who have a smartphone, please don't use it to make calls now. Please use it to make pictures, to share those pictures on Instagram, Twitter, and on Facebook, tagging Liberal International and using the hashtag LI@75. So please do that. And let me take the first selfie of the day now to make William and his comms team very happy people. So when I turn around, please say liberal, and I make a picture. Wait. Say liberal. Liberal. And I will be using the hashtag LI@75. Ladies and gentlemen, it is so fantastic to have you all here in the room today, especially as the world is taking this illiberal turn at parts. We have 25 years after Hong Kong is being, well, let's call it, returned to a non-democracy. We have the new president who is inaugurated in the Philippines. We have Russia not only becoming an illiberal and fascist regime, but also threatening physically the life and livelihood of our brothers and sisters in Ukraine. We have China being China, unfortunately, at the moment, threatening again our friends, not only in Taiwan, the country of Taiwan, but also the region and our way of life. They have become not only an economic competitor, but a systemic rival to what we believe in. And what we believe in is what we will celebrate now, 75 years of Liberal International. A celebration of friendship, collaboration, perseverance in the face of autocracy, and also at times mortal danger if you ask our friend Sam Renzi how that feels like. We believe in freedom, dignity, and a better tomorrow. This is what makes us liberals. We fight for those values and for personal freedom around the world. This is what makes Liberal International truly liberal and international. Ladies and gentlemen, I will not be only your MC today. I also have a tremendous pleasure, and that is of welcoming the first speaker of today, the President of Liberal International, Hakima El Haité. Thank you, Hakima, for organizing this, and welcome to the stage.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you so much. I want first to tell our friends how gorgeous these singers were. Thank you very much. They were really gorgeous. And now I am so inspired that I don't want to make a speech, but I want to sing. Okay, dear friends. Yeah, hopefully the microphone was not working, and I was saying that I was so inspired by them that I want to sing. Okay, thank you, dear friends, to be here. I know that Mrs. President, let's say, Ing-wen is following us through online. So, Excellencies, Mrs. and Mr. Ambassadors, dear delegates, dear friends, dear hosts, Mr. President and Chairman of MRF, Mr. President of ALDE Party, all my dear delegates and friends, I'm very happy and delighted to be here today. I would like to tell you how much I'm happy to meet you, not virtually, because we met already with most of you virtually, but nothing can replace chemistry. Nothing can replace the connections and the hugs we have today, and the chemistry which is inspiring all of us today. So thank you all for being here and for traveling from so far to come to Sofia. Thank you also for being in this town in a very specific, I will say, moment of our common history. I think that this Congress, which was supposed to be held 3 years ago, is now held in a so specific, dark moment, unfortunately, of our common history, but it is held in the right place and in the right moment. This is very symbolic for us as liberal democracies to give a huge signal to all the ones who want to defeat and to threaten our values, freedom and peace in the world. So let me address my special warm thanks to our host. And I have prepared something specific for our Bulgarian friends. Let me try it. Skapi privateli od ДПС. Blado Godarieva vi. Blado Godarieva Blado Godarieva vi za gostopriemstvo voto. This is to tell you thank you for hosting us. Thank you for your hospitality. Thank you for making this meeting possible. And I will tell on behalf of all of you and on behalf of our host, welcome to Sofia. Welcome to this city of the triangle of culture, religion, and history, but also welcome to Sofia, where modernity and history come together harmoniously. And this is a huge signal of tolerance and peace. So welcome to this city, which means which has a noble meaning. Sofia means exactly my name, Hakima. Yes. It means wisdom. This is what means Sofia. And all of us, we are at search of wisdom. You know, we have spent 2 years, very difficult years, and in my whole life, I couldn't expect that one time a world pandemic will come, erode our health system, erode our economies, erode our social organization, avoid us to meet with our children, with our brothers, friends. We all lost members from family, our family members. We lost some of our friends. We all liberals lost our friend Hans van Baalen during these 2 years. And on behalf of all of you, I want to pay tribute to Hans' fight for freedom and for our shared value. So I want you to applaud him, please, and to applaud his memory. May the soul of all our dead friends rest in peace. Dear friends, today we are celebrating the 75th anniversary of Liberal International. I would have really be happy to celebrate it in another circumstances in the world, but unfortunately we are crossing a very dark moment of our history. You know, when I was thinking about what to tell you today, I was looking at the pictures of Liberal International and the picture of the leaders, of the founders of Liberal International 75 years ago appears to me. And I was saying to myself, how hard was their task to build this liberal family, to build our values, to fight for our values. And I felt many years ago, 4 years ago, that I was lucky because I'm not dealing with the same issue. I'm not crossing the same dark period they were crossing where they built the liberal family. But today, I'm feeling exactly the same feeling they felt that time when they created Liberal International. So, yes, we are crossing a very dark period. First, we began by a worldwide pandemic. This pandemic showed us that our limits, showed us that we were very interconnected, interdependent, and no one can be safe until all of us we are safe. Otherwise, the world became a small village with walls, and the virus, exactly like climate change, has no borders, no nationality, no color. So this pandemic was our first exercise and our first exam, and we did better with the time. We organized ourselves. We, together with ALDE party, together with Hans van Baalen, with Rick Dams, we called on WHO for more solidarity. We called on the European for more solidarity to make vaccines accessible to the most vulnerable countries, etc., etc. And we were trying to recover from COVID-19 with all its consequences on our economies, on our social organization, on our psychology, you know. I'm wondering if someone has lost some member of family, but I lost 2 brothers during the pandemic. So it was huge. And we didn't end with the recovery plan. We didn't end with planning where to go after the pandemic. That we have a devastating war at the back door of Europe. threatening mature democracies, and giving a so bad precedent in the history of humanity. What is happening now, it's transcending the border of Ukraine. Yes, Ukraine is the first victim of this war, but don't forget that this war has many collateral victims. And the first victim of this war, which is the neighbor of Ukraine, it's Europe. This war is threatening the energy dependency of Europe. This war is threatening the economy in Europe. And this war is threatening the most vulnerable worldwide. Food security in Latin America, in Africa. We are now at a number of 267 million of people at the risk to die from hunger because of this war. So this is not an isolated conflict. This is everyone war. And this is what we are facing today. This war came also in a time when all we witnessed an increase of authoritarian regimes who use the pandemic to restrict our freedom, to restrict our right, to violate our people, to imprison the defenders of our shared values, and to be more louder all over the world. The increase of nationalism, the increase of military coups. Don't forget, 3 military coups in Africa in 1 year, threatening the security in the Western Africa, but also threatening Europe because of the amplification of the waves of migration from the south of Africa to the north of Africa, crossing Morocco. So what is happening now in the world can be simply summarized in one word: anarchy. And we are the liberal democracies. Look at us today. We have leaders from all over the world, from all the corners of this world. We have experts from all the corners of the world. We have expertise, and we have men, women, and youth who are sharing our values and fighting for our values. We have everything we need to tackle everyone who wants to undermine our freedom, our dignity, and our shared values, our peace. What is happening now has made a discredit on our multilateral order and multilateral institutions. We need a peacekeeper. We need multilateral order to be set. And we need liberal solutions to bring to the world. And if it's not us, nobody will do that. We have to win this battle. We have no choice. Because what is happening now are not the real problem the humanity is facing. You know why? I was in a table at the lunchtime, and someone told me that when we are talking about climate change, this is a luxury problem. And I said, no, mademoiselle. When we are talking about climate change and its threat on humanity, we are talking about the real problem humanity is facing. But what is happening now, this stupid war is shadowing and is making back our real priorities. So our priorities is to end with this war and to tackle the real problems like climate change, which is threatening by disappearing the small island, the most vulnerable countries. Look at the small island. In 2050, they will be erased from the map if we continue to do what we are doing now. Look at the Africans, 40 countries, on behalf of 50 countries, are at the risk to be in a huge hunger by 2030. And our sustainable goal, too, was to end with hunger in 2030. Look at the latest report of the IPCC, who is saying that we will not achieve our goals if we continue to deal with nature and the environment, and if we continue to produce CO2 emissions like we are doing now. And what we did, we are very busy. We are very busy with the pandemic. We are very busy now with the war, and we have decided to open coal industries because we need energy. This is a survival. So we are shadowing the right priorities to deal with urgencies. And this have to stop if we want to build the world we are hoping for our children. I'm not following my speech, sorry. So, we are moving from crisis to crisis. And today, this is the time. This is the time to come together. And we are gathering here liberals from Europe, ALDE party, and I will seize this opportunity to congratulate you, Mr. Dear friend Mustafa, for the elections of Ilhan from Bulgaria as co-president of ALDE party, and also congratulate Timi. He's not here, but congratulations to Timi and Ilhan. Let me tell you why it's very important for us as liberals. Ilhan, as president of ALDE party, you have a huge responsibility. Let me tell you that here we are representing the world, and here we are discussing policies with the world. But when you are discussing policies in Europe, any policy you are deciding has its own consequences everywhere in the world. When you are discussing any policy in Europe, the consequences of this policy are touching Africa, Latin America, Asia, the food supply chain, everything. So we were together in a Council of Presidents today, and I hope that from now to the future, we will work together to manage that all the policies liberals are taking and adopting worldwide are to serve liberals in all the corners of this planet. So congratulations, Ilhan, congratulations to Timi. I would like also to tell you that we have ILN together with us. ILN is the liberals from Africa. And liberals from Africa are here also to share their experience, their knowledge, their culture, and also their leadership, and to bring their proposal for the solutions they're seeing to save and to save their problems. So this platform of Liberal International, I think, is the idyllic platform to build the new world, and this is the theme of our Congress. So I will conclude my speech by telling you that I have a hope in the fact that in face of any crisis, humanity is able to emerge and forge new opportunities through ingenuity, through innovation, through its youth, women and men. Don't forget women, dear leadership, men leadership. So through all of us, we can create new opportunities. Let's now call for the peace. Let's work to achieve the peace and then focus on the priorities, which is the climate change fight, which is the global transformation called for by the Paris Agreement, which is the digital transformation. And let me tell you that we cannot step back. The digital transformation is happening, and it's now, and we have to deal with it. And it has created a lot of opportunities. It's why we have delivered during the 2 years of the COVID, but also it has created a huge inequity in the world, in the developing world, when the infrastructure doesn't exist yet. So let's work together for peace. When I was in the university, my teacher used to tell me what you want to say in one paragraph, one sentence, or one word. And my latest word is peace. Thank you so much. I declare open the 63 Congress of Liberal International. Thank you.
Your President, Hakima El Haité. Once more, a big round of applause for Hakima. The beauty of digitalization is that I can receive messages, and one of the messages was, stall them and ask who does not have a headset. So those of you who don't have a headset, for having a translation English-Bulgarian, because the next speaker will be speaking in Bulgarian, please raise your hand so you can receive. That makes communication a lot easier. And while I'm still stalling you, Hakima said something very, very important. And it is the place where we are right now, in Sofia, which is not only on the border of East and West, right in the middle, but also where we are here right now. There's an Orthodox church, there's a mosque, there is a Catholic church, and there is a synagogue, all in the close vicinity of each other. And I think this is very much the spirit that we also live in Liberal International. I think I have stalled you enough, and people have received their headphones. So, it is, yes, it's coming. Don't hate me for it. Slowly. Yes, they're still coming for the other side. Okay. They're being given out. And whilst you receive your headphones, it's my pleasure and my privilege to welcome a very old friend of mine to the stage, saying not old because we are so old now, but because we have been friends for a decade. Please welcome to the stage the leader of the Movement for Rights and Freedom in Bulgaria, Mustafa Karadayi.
Благодаря ви.
Dear liberal friends, Your Excellency, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you to Bulgaria. Welcome to Sofia. I will continue in Bulgarian. Yeah. Sorry, next time, next Congress I will in English. Okay?
First of all, I would like to congratulate Hakima, the president of the Liberal International, and the entire Bureau for this successful mandate. Let's congratulate them all. Applause, please. The international order is at a crossroad. Russia's war against Ukraine has triggered response in various parts of the world, plunging international order anchored to UN Charter, bringing an unprecedented crisis ever since the end of the Cold War. It is not by accident that this year the Congress holds The motto, restructuring a liberal world order, because we, the liberals, are dedicated to shared peace and prosperity, two vital objectives at this decisive time of the world we live in. Unfortunately, in the last years, the world has been going on from crisis to crisis. First, the pandemic turned down our life and economies upside down, and it is still lingering over us. The virus continues spreading, and this may lead to even more contagious or worse and deadlier variants, thus driving the world to further disruptions and greater division between developed and poor countries. Second, Russian invasion in Ukraine is devastating to both Ukrainian and Russian economies, while sending shock waves all across the world, including the growing food crisis. Human tragedy, however, stands above all, with all the suffering of common men, women, and children in Ukraine, and the 11 million displaced people. Our hearts and thoughts go to all of them. Economic implications from the war and the energy crisis has disseminated fast and far to neighbors and beyond, hitting the most vulnerable people the strongest. Thousands of million people are struggling with lowered income and higher energy and food prices. The war has accelerated inequality even more, but it also raised questions which have been forgotten for years. Undoubtedly, Europe and Africa, similarly to other parts of the world, cannot escape the consequences of the global nightmare. Rather troubling is the fact that because of existing vulnerability of the countries in this continent, crisis impact will certainly be harder for Africa, along with the key question of how African countries have to insist on food supply provision while supporting a more inclusive and sustainable multilateral order. There stands an immediate question of how this extreme crisis faced by the multilateralism affects the predominating peace and security of the continent. Third, for the first time in years, inflation had turned into a present and imminent danger to numerous countries in the world. This is an immense obstacle to global recovery. In economic terms, growth is slowing down while inflation is rising high. In human terms, people's income is dropping and difficulties are multiplying. These double crises, the pandemic and the war, along with our ability to deal with them, are further exacerbated by another growing risk: fragmentation of world economy into geopolitical blocks of diverse commercial and technological standards, payment systems, reserve currencies. Such a tectonic change would lead to painful expenditures. Supply chains, R&D, and manufacturing networks would be disrupted, and finding alternatives is harder even today. Certainly, more poor African and Asian countries will bear the burden of such dislocations. Today, higher energy and food prices contribute to inflation pressure, while shrinking real household income all across the world. This fragmentation of global governance is probably the biggest challenge to the rule-based framework which has been governing international and economic relations for 75 years now and has supported substantial improvement in the standards of living all over the world. It is today, when we are celebrating LI 75th anniversary, that we have come to realize that the liberal world order has to be reconstructed once again. We should not allow the pandemic and the war to shake our ability to work together, because this will leave us utterly incapable of facing the global challenges such as the existential threat posed by climate change. Fourth, as underpinned in the last UN climate report, the threat to our planet has not disappeared. On the contrary, it's growing even bigger. We have to mitigate it everywhere, to have to adapt when necessary, and build resilience to upcoming disruptions. We have to build a resilient system which can guarantee energy and food security and independence of the liberal world from the illiberal one in a climate-neutral way. The need to do it is here today. Today is our change. Our chance. The last global issue I'll touch upon today is the digital revolution. This involves people reskilling to achieve an even growing digital economy and unlocking innovation potential. We love saying that the future is digital, but according to us, the future is also liberal. A future which brings equality, growth, and progressive thinking. This is a crucial time for the international community. The actions to take on together today will define our future in a fundamental manner. In conclusion, crises bring about and deepen intolerance to ethnic, religious differences and to diversity as a whole. The liberal world has to use its best endeavor to protect human rights, including in the illiberal states. Our democratic systems need to be strengthened to withstand future challenges and to make human rights more resilient and without borders. The notion of an open and free society, inclusion of free and active citizens in political processes, and is of crucial importance right now. And finally, after saying all this, just like the time after World War II, today we are faced with the threat of having a new Iron Curtain pulled down again. And I'm talking as president of a party whose members are victims of life on the other side of the curtain. As a global liberal community, it depends on us not to let such a curtain falling down again. We have to strengthen our democratic societies and support our like-minded liberal sympathizers who fight with non-democratic regimes in countries and try to draw out their fellow citizens from the mist of deceitful authoritarian propaganda which places the state above human rights and tramples on democracy at the account of military security. We have to succeed, and we will, because we are together and because our values and principles give us strength and faith, because we are liberals. I wish success to the Congress and Hakima, Sofia, wisdom, that's what I heard, and very wise decision of the Congress. Thank you very much for your attention.
Благодаря, господин президент. Thank you very much. I would like to call on stage the co-president of the Alliance of Liberals and Democrats for Europe, Ilhan Kyuchyuk.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Daniel. What I hear, you are practicing your Bulgarian on a daily basis, so it's improving. Dear Liberal friends, ladies and gentlemen, dear Hakima, President, dear host, Mr. Karadayi, President of Movement for Rights and Freedoms, dear Liberal friends and excellencies, welcome to Sofia, welcome to Bulgaria. Indeed, it is a very timely topic to discuss the restriction of liberal order, because the liberal order was under attack and is still under attack. And let me start by outlining a few big issues that are facing us all today and that we need to address. I think the number one is the assertive policy of Russia and nowadays the brutal invasion against the Ukraine and the sovereign people of Ukraine. And I would like to pay tribute to those brothers and sisters, Ukrainians, certainly very brave ones, and I see some of them, Kira and her fellow liberals coming from goals and all the way from Kiev and beyond that. They gave us a good lesson, historical lesson, how to fight for liberalism, how to fight for democracies. And they are not fighting only for the territorial integrity of their own country, but they are fighting for us. They are fighting for our liberal values. Let me reassure you, Kira, that our prime ministers, commissioners, members of the national and European parliament, and the fellow liberals here in the room and those watching us are really proud of your achievements, are really proud of your fight for liberal democracy. And we'll continue supporting you. We'll continue supporting the Hungarian liberals and Democrats, the Polish liberals and Democrats fighting against illiberal democracies, fighting against autocracies. Because in today's world, certainly we have the good and the bad, and it's time for us, the liberals, to be on the side of the good, to take the strategic decisions, and as you mentioned, Hakima, to coordinate in a better way. And I am proud that this morning you initiated this global approach on how to tackle the challenges. Where we want to go in the future, what is the liberal response for that? And I do believe that the response is not going to come from the conservatives or from the socialists. Look at the map in Europe. The conservatives are losing popularity. They are losing power, even in UK. The socialists are not gaining power. They are not gaining any new momentum. We, the liberals, in Europe with our 8 prime ministers, with our 103 members of European Parliament, with our 6 commissioners, are going to bring a change. And Conference on the Future of Europe was a great success for us. Now we have to implement it. We have to implement it and make Europe and the world better functional. We have to make it more efficient, because only with institutional reforms, only with better functionality of our institutions, we can have better results which will work for our citizens. We want to hear that from our liberal politicians, to create a platform that works for all, to create a platform that delivers to the citizens. And certainly the second big issue, as was mentioned by many of you previous speakers and friends, the inflation and the danger of stagnation. Our citizens are hurting, prices are rising, which hurts especially small and medium families, medium income families. We have reached double-digit inflation. We have reached a point where the so much needed economic growth after the pandemic is in danger of stopping entirely. And here the answer must be liberal again. All of our voters will feel the weight of raising food and energy costs in their pockets. They will be demanding solutions. It is up to present to them what is our answer. Number 3 is how to embrace the trade. I think we have to continue championing the trade. The free trade has brought unprecedented prosperity to the humanity. It has lifted entire nations and peoples out of poverty. We have to be resolute. More trade today means more jobs. Dear friends, whatever our member parties call themselves, classical, social, centrist, progressive liberals, we have the same values at our heart. Values that we must never forget. Peace, freedom, tolerance, prosperity. No matter the promises, no matter the pressure that some are trying to exercise on them. And in the end, we all want to leave our countries and our world for our children and grandchildren that one we live in today. Personally, I don't want my children to inherit this war because we did not face up Putin when we had a chance. I don't want my children to inherit inflation that has them choosing between paying for food or their energy bill or their rent. I don't want my children to inherit the world that is too afraid to stand up for the values of rule of law. As our former president often said, liberals must unite. Now is time. It's needed more than ever. Liberals must unite. Long live Europe, long live Liberal International, long live peace, prosperity, and better future to all of us. Thank you so much.
Мой приятел, моят брат.
Mr. Ilhan Kyuchyuk, my friend and my brother.
Talking about the future of Liberals International, please welcome to the stage the president of IFLRY. Please welcome to the stage Amanda Kanange.
My liberal friends, I am so honored to stand in front of you all today as I'm standing here representing the 3 million young liberals who are members of IFLRY's members organizations, many whom belong to the youth branches of your organizations that are here today. I want to start off by thanking Hakima, first and foremost, and also William for recognizing the importance of youth in the political framework, because political activism led by young people has never been easy. Many young people face many obstacles to their activism solely because we are young. Unfortunately, also, the state of the world and the world events of the last few years has only intensified the already existing obstacles to active political participation and speaking up regarding injustices that face young people. Because during the last few years since we met, the world has been in the state of crisis. We have found ourselves in a world that is worse than the one we left when we went into global lockdown over 2 years ago. Russia's brutal invasion of Ukraine, the overreaching threat of famine that is leading from that, and just recently, the attack on women's right to choose and their own bodies in a country where we used to be confident that we have already won that battle. And this is only to name a few things, and the speakers before have talked about all of the difficulties that we're facing today as a global liberal movement. But I want to highlight something on the more positive side, because historically, crises have also been opportunities of change. For example, if we see the pandemic, it prompted us to rethink how we structure our societies on a global scale. We have witnessed how young people were rallying around issues such as climate change, racial injustices, and human rights, using digital platforms and driving civic engagement. And we are the ones that have realized that the only way to move forward and to cope with the horrific scenes that we're seeing in the world today are to work harder to rebuild our society to the better. And this is a goal that Liberal International and IFLRY share together. And it's also a legacy that we have shared for a very, very long time. IFLRY's roots goes back to the 1920s when a series of international meetings between liberal youth organizations took place to find a way for young people to advocate for peace and liberal ideas. We were then funded in 1947 in the aftermath of World War II, just as Liberal International. So we have a legacy together of reacting to hardship by standing strong in our values and liberal compasses and coming together with an even stronger force. As both LI now and IFLRY celebrate our 75-year anniversary during the same year, I really would like to emphasize this legacy and for us to remember that while we're standing in these difficult times, and remember that we should be proud of this legacy, and also, as we're gathering here now, remember that we are all keeping that legacy alive by being here during these difficult times, but still devoting our time and effort into globalizing freedom and putting effort into fighting not only for ourselves, but for other people around the world. And I am really, really proud to be part of that movement together with Liberal International. And it is truly inspiring to see people from all over the world who are so determined and deeply involved and persisting in their pursuit for freedom for everyone, no matter their origin or their gender or their color. And by saying that, I also want to take the opportunity to recognize the role of young people in that quest. Whether it is climate change, freedom of speech, or inequality, young people are often the most affected, and we are also the one that usually stand in the forefront of the change. I want you all to recognize the lived experiences, successes, and struggles of young leaders as we navigate the path through the reality of a changing world that was not made for us, but is rather working against us, but still demonstrating innovation, perseverance, and leadership in their own communities. And it's not easy to do this. Young people's ideas, which I have to say sometimes by older politicians are used to criticize us of being not realistic. I would really like to say it's not the result of being naive. It is actually the result and a reflection of a generation that is resigned to never compromise on our values. Therefore, I want to highlight that these ideas should matter, and they do matter. And one example of this and how we need to utilize those ideas from the young people is within the climate change movement right now. And that is one of the prioritized issues from young people today. Climate change and climate justice is one of the most important questions of our time. And we know that these threats of climate change doesn't stop at any border. And Hakima talked about this in such a very nice way. It's about global problems requiring global solutions. And we should be the movement that takes the lead on environmental issues and takes responsibility for the environment and for the climate. And we understand that effective environmental and climate policies lead to justice, they provide opportunities to people, and they increase freedom, and therefore is a key issue for us liberals. And I would really like to know also, being the representative of the world's liberal youth organization, that there is a reason why the youth of the world are the ones that are pushing for this change the most. I would say my generation is angry. We are angry about the fact that we have to deal with most of the consequences of the lack of the action that is being taken today. We are tired of empty promises and having to fight so hard for everyone's present and for our future. We are, though, determined to keep prioritizing and raising this question. And also, unfortunately, as this has kind of created a generational divide, I would like to really commend Hakima in her leadership of Liberal International, that she has really taken these questions to the forefront in a way that I think is very admirable. And yes. And I see a lot of organizations and political parties also really raising this question, and I really would like to thank you for doing that, and also encourage you to dare to do it even more radical way and be even stronger in it. So, my friends, 2 weeks ago we had our General Assembly in IFLRY, and our theme was very similar to yours. We chose the theme of future of liberalism. And in the future of liberalism, we of course need to reconstruct the liberal order. But I would like to say something about how it's not only in the terms of policy that we need to do this, but in all aspects of politics. Because as a young black woman, I grew up believing that I would not lead or become a leader because I had nothing in common with like the one-sided image of leadership that was displayed in the media and in political parties and in our society as a whole. And I think for a lot of other women, people of color or members of marginalized groups and young people think the same. And this creates challenges for all of us. Just think about all the wasted talent and the loss of perspectives and knowledge. And it also staples our vision of how an equal and diverse and inclusive world could be like. And we need to really change that phenomenon. And when we're reconstructing the liberal world order, this is something we have to have in mind. We need to think broader and we need to think bigger. And I would like to also highlight there that we're already starting this by challenging the stereotypes and creating space for others to come. And I am really, really proud to stand here and say that the liberal movement, both the young liberal movement and also the adult liberal movement, have chosen to be led by two women, and not only two women from anywhere, but two women from the African diaspora. And I think that is actually really matters. It does. It matters to people. But however, we still have a long way to go. And as I'm concluding what I want to say here, and if there is only one thing you want to take from what I've been saying in my intervention, is this. And I want to stress that when you're talking about youth inclusion, I do not want to hear about how we're talking about getting in the young people or the future, because we are not. We are not the future. We are not the future because we are here. I'm standing right here. And your young leaders wanting to make changes, they are in your parties, they're in your communities. We are the majority of the world's populations, they're in your NGOs. I mean, how can we be the future when we're existing in the present? So please, let us be part of the present, let us be part of the change, and let us take lead in reconstructing the liberal order. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amanda, for IFLRY, the liberal conscience of the liberal family. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome with a video message the President of the country, Taiwan, Tsai Ing-wen.
Liberal International President Haité, esteemed panelists, ALDE Bureau members, distinguished Congress participants, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I would like to begin by thanking Liberal International for inviting me to this important gathering of liberals from around the world. I also want to take this opportunity to thank our liberal partners for your continued support for the Democratic Progressive Party and Taiwan. Last year, we lost a dear partner and friend, ALDE Party President Hans van Baalen. To me and to the people of Taiwan, Hans was not just a devoted ally and a staunch advocate of liberal values. He was also a trusted friend as we fought side by side to safeguard democracy and its ideals. A towering figure in the liberal movement, Hans left a legacy of a stronger economic and diplomatic partnership between Taiwan and the EU. To carry on Mr. van Baalen's lifelong work, our representative office in Brussels and the Taiwan Foundation for Democracy, in partnership with the European Liberal Forum and ALDE Party and the European Liberal Youth, have together launched the Hans van Baalen Scholarship. With this scholarship, we hope to continue building relationships between Taiwan and the EU, and by doing so, to help the spirit of Hans van Baalen live on in all of us. As the memorandum on this year's Congress theme states, the liberal, rules-based world order is facing perhaps its greatest challenge since the establishment of ALDE 75 years ago. Not only do we have to deal with the global human and economic impact of COVID-19 pandemic, we must combat authoritarian regimes' attempts to infiltrate our democratic institutions and erode human rights and civic space. Russia's invasion of Ukraine shows that authoritarian regimes will use any method to accomplish their expansionist goals. This all comes on top of the existing challenges of climate change, as well as food and supply chain security. It is for these reasons that I agree that there is a need, as stated in this year's theme, to reconstructing a liberal world order. This is also why this physical gathering of the 63rd ALDE Congress in Sofia, Bulgaria, is so pressing and important. With this Congress, liberals from around the world can discuss and form strategy in person on how we can face these challenges together. I know the representative from my party and from the newly established Asia Pacific chapter of the International Network of Liberal Women are also present at this Congress. I encourage you all to meet with them to exchange experiences and discuss possible opportunities for collaboration. For decades, the DPP has been on the front lines of Taiwan's democratization, defending democracy against authoritarianism. Liberal democracy is an integral part of our identity. In recent years, we have been confronted by increasingly aggressive threats from China, which is seeking to corrode what we have been working so hard for, that is, our democratic way of life. Therefore, Taiwanese have been working even more diligently to address these challenges. From our civil society to our government officials, Taiwanese are not shying away from authoritarianism intrusion. Instead, we are meeting these challenges head-on and fighting against domestic and external forces seeking to undermine our democracy. We are willing and eager to share our experiences in countering authoritarian influence with you all. Just as at the outset of the pandemic, Taiwan donated masks and medical equipment to our friends from around the world. We also stand ready to assist and strengthen our collaboration with the international community, working together to safeguard the liberal democratic world order. I also believe, as liberals, we can and need to do more. As we watch the atrocities committed against Ukraine by Russia, Taiwan is proud to have played a part in the effort to assist the Ukrainians in their struggle to defend their country. Our effort must not stop here. We must educate ourselves on the authoritarian playbook, and we must strengthen our partnerships and defend one another. What authoritarian regimes do best is divide and conquer. Therefore, only when we work together and support one another can we succeed in combating the expansionist goals of authoritarian regimes. 3/4 of a century after the Liberal International was founded, we find ourselves facing similar challenges as liberals and Democrats. And as we moved towards the post-pandemic era, these challenges will only become more profound. But we have also come a long way as liberals, and we have a shared understanding of how democracy doesn't come easy. This is why I'm confident that by standing united in our values and beliefs, we will always achieve what we set out to accomplish. I wish you all a productive and successful Congress, and I hope we can meet in person in the near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam President, not only for this address, but also for reminding us what we liberals fight for. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the first session of today. Please remain seated, and please keep in mind the hashtag of today's Liberal International Congress, which is? Again? Again? Thank you. So you're awake. That is very good. Let's get going. Let's get going. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we come to one of the most important sessions of the Congress, and that is the administrative session about the non-executive vice presidents and the bureau candidate session. So I welcome to the stage not only the president of Liberal International, Hakima Haité, but also the not heaven sent but Townsend, William Townsend. Please come to the stage.